What's going on? So today, 14,000 US dollars for Bitcoin. Crazy stuff. So I've said it for a couple of weeks now. I'm thinking that we're going to sit between 14 to 15,000 before correcting. Would I put money on it? No. I mean, this is crazy. This just keeps going up and up. A lot of news coming up. A lot of exciting things coming up for Bitcoin that can always affect the price. So yeah. Either way, it's a great win for Bitcoin and for cryptocurrency in general. So today's going to be a real quick video. I was talking to somebody the other day and it reminded me of something I read, which I think is really, really important for people coming into cryptocurrency trading. So trading on Forex and stocks, you're competing against institutional money. You're competing against guys that have studied and have been trading for years and years and years. So these guys are using crazy indicators, stuff that, the average person's going to have trouble wrapping their head around. So I read this article, and if anyone knows, I can't find it. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, feel free to comment it so I can credit it. But basically what it said was that cryptocurrency, because it's so young and the majority of people trading inside of it, millennials, mom and pop traders, guys that are into tech that got into Bitcoin early that are now into the trading side of things. So the indicators that we're using are really basic stuff. Now, that's a good thing. So when I say it's a good thing, what that means is that we're all looking at the same thing. So if we're all using the same indicators and the basic indicators, to spot trend reversals, to spot breakouts, support lines, resistance lines, then all we have to do is we just have to try and spot them before the rest of the market does. The other thing is that if you spot a breakout, and I'll explain what that is in a second, if you spot a breakout, chances are everyone else has spotted that same breakout. So you have to think, what is everyone else going to be doing? So if you catch that breakout early enough, and there's good volume behind it, and even better, there's a reason behind it, so news has come out or pre-news has come out, then you can get on it early, ride it up to the top, and then take some profits out. So real quick, I just want to cover a few things that I think you guys, if you haven't already, I think you guys should go read up on, get familiar with. I'm not going to go into too many details about them. I'm just going to sort of mention them, little quick explanation, and then I'll throw in a couple of simple links where you can get started. So I mentioned in my other two videos that the whole purpose of these are to get you thinking and to get you on the right track. I don't think myself or anyone else out there should be sitting here spoon feeding. I think the best way to learn is to get out there, do it yourself. So real quick, this is the Bitcoin chart from today. So this is on TradingView. Mind you, if you're not in TradingView, get on. You can get free accounts. There's some great stuff on there, very educational as well. But yeah, basic trend lines. So there are so many different patterns to look for. And that's something that, again, I recommend you guys Google, find it. If you can't, hit me up on Twitter and I'll point you in the right direction. So trend lines are basically where you find a point here, for example. So this is one of the recent lows, and you can see here that the price keeps increasing, and we can draw a line and basically runs across the bottom of all these points here. So that there is a resistance trend line, and you can see here that the price has come down. It's come back down, touched on it, bounced all the way back up, sort of hovered around the top a bit, back down to test it, pushed back up. You can see it's done that a few times until it's finally bounced back up. Sorry, this is the trend line. This is a support trend line. This is the resistance at the top. So support obviously being there is enough support there to keep the price from falling through. Resistance, there is enough resistance there in terms of sell orders to keep the price from pushing higher. So generally what happens is you'll find the price will just travel sideways between the two, bouncing up and down until eventually it has to make up its mind and either breaks out at the top or falls through at the bottom. So you can see in Bitcoin's case, it's sort of bounced back up, tested the high here, come back down, and then immediately broken through and bounced all the way up to 14.1. And then you can see it's actually come back down now and touched upon what used to be the resistance line. It's now looking like it's going to become a line of support. So that's the basics behind trend lines. Again, there are so many different patterns to be looking out for, but if you're not already using these or you're not familiar with these, hopefully that's a bit of an explanation, and then it's enough for you to sort of go out and start researching a little bit more. I'll do another video on some of the patterns to look out for, but that's the basics. So the other two things that I have here is the MACD and the Stoch RSI. And the other thing I use are simple moving averages, so SMAs. So SMAs are really basic. It's just basically like a moving average that's been calculated. You can set different, what's the word I'm looking for, different periods. So you can see here, for example, I have 3, and again, Google and find out what's going to work for you, because, click, here we go, where is it? It's going to turn up sooner or later. There we go. So you can see here I've got red, yellow, and pink. So the yellow one here is 5. So what that means is it's the average price over the past 5 days that's running along here. The pink one is 10, and the orange one here is 50. So you can see here that the price has sort of traveled sideways with Bitcoin. And then all of a sudden, we've had the 5-day price and the 10-day price cross up. And they've sort of traveled up above the 50-day average. As the price dropped, it's come down and tested the 50-day average, back up, fallen through, back up, and it's hovered around the 50-day average here before powering all the way back up, touching it again, powering up again. So what you generally find is, and again, research this, Google it, there's so many good YouTube videos out there that explain this in detail. But what you're generally going to find is when the price goes above the 50-day average, it will come down and test it a few times before eventually falling through, going down, and then consolidating before going back up again. So I'll put this link in here. Definitely read this, the SMAs. So it explains a little bit about what they are, how we use them, and you can, some more stuff to read in here as well. Uptrends, pullbacks, so on and so forth. The other one to look at is the MACD. So again, this one here, quite an interesting one to look into. I'm not going to go into it on this video. I want to try and keep them short as possible. But have a look at this, read this, and then what I suggest you do as well is it's always interesting to come through and have a look at, you know, the data that we've got. So you can see here, you know, like it's sort of traveled sideways. Nothing much is exciting is happening in terms of price. As the price starts to go up, so you would have caught here this blue line crossing up over the orange one and crossing up over here, over the zero line here, the horizontal line, right? So you can see here, as it's crossed up, you can use that as a buy signal. Now, use it with other signals as well, but you can use this as a buy signal. And if you had a bought here, you would have bought in at 8,281 or thereabouts. And it sort of traveled all the way up. And you can see here where it really has a sharp drop. You could have sold around this area, depending when you caught it, around the 10.5, even a little bit lower. So these are hour blocks. So you would have had plenty of time to sell when it crossed over. So it crossed over here. You could have even sold at this hour block around the 10.4 mark. So 8.1 to 10.4, just by using this MACD. The other one you should be watching is the RSI. So RSI and, sorry, I was reading the text. So RSI is one to be looking at as well. So RSI, again, not going to go into it. This will explain it for you. But it basically helps you see whether a coin has been overbought or oversold. And then based on that, you can again Combine that with other signals to find out whether or not you should be buying or selling. So again, go back and test it. So when we come back here to this point, we can see here that generally what I like to do is look at that 50% line there. I find that when both lines start to cross up over the 50% line and the blue line is above the red line, with other signals, it's usually a sign to buy. So again, right, if we combine all of this, so we've got the RSI that's crossed over the 50% line right here. Where is it? Right there. We've got the MACD crossing up as well at the same time. We've got some really nice volume, so this green little patch here. So that's pushed through. And then we've got the SMAs, so the shorter period SMAs, the 5 and the 10, have crossed up and they've started to move away from the 50. So if you were to buy in this section here based on those three signals alone, you would have made a really good investment. It's just traveled up, 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 and you could have taken profits around here, or you could have waited until the signal. So let's use those signals again. So right about here, we've got the blue line heading down quite sharply, so it's crossed over. And then here is the 50% line. So you can see here that they're both sort of, the blue lines crossed back down under the red, and at the 50% line right here, which lines up pretty much perfectly with this here, should have been a signal to sell. So you would have sold around here. So what's that? We're around the 8.3-ish mark, depending where you got in, selling at around the 10.5 mark. And that there is purely based on just a couple of really simple indicators where when combined should give you some really good telltale signs when to buy, when to sell. So as I said, I'll put these 3 links in there. What I'll do later on is do a video around, I guess, these in more detail if you guys want. The other thing I suggest, and I brought up a couple of 2 accounts that I follow. So these guys here, so CryptoRand, for example, I follow this guy. Really, really good stuff in terms of charting. I love his charts. The guy explains them well. You know, he generally speaking, like when I look at his charts and when I follow, so again, go and back test this data. Look at people's charts, you know, from a week ago, 2 weeks ago, a month ago even, and see how they played out. See if they played out exactly as they said, and if they didn't, why didn't they? But yeah, so this is a guy, I'm going to add his Twitter handle in, but yeah. So this is these are some of the charting he does. Explains it really well as to why. And again, what I do, so I mean, I'm not the best when it comes to charts. I can chart basic stuff, which works for me. But if I'm ever looking at some of these charts here and don't understand something, I'll just go Google it. Google it, research it, watch YouTube videos on it, learn it. Because if these guys are using it, there's a good chance that other people are using it. And as I said, we're effectively competing against everyone else. So knowing what everyone else is using and how they're using it is going to help us stay ahead of them and help us catch those early breaks and sell at the right time. The other one I follow is CryptoEd, so CryptoRand and CryptoEd. Again, this guy's charts, I love them. Really, really good charts. He again explains them. He uses a lot of different indicators to what CryptoRand does. So it's good to follow them both, and you can see here a lot of the same indicators as well. So this is another guy. CryptoEd does run a paid group. My feelings towards paid groups are, you know, it really depends. There aren't a lot of good ones out there. I don't know CryptoEd, so I'm not a part of it. This is not an endorsement towards it, but he does put charts up quite early. So I've seen quite a few of his charts where he's put sort of these blue boxes in, sort of saying where to buy. And yeah, generally they work out nicely. If they don't work out, he does have an explanation, which I think is really, really good. So very transparent, definitely worth a follow there as well. So yeah, hopefully that's given you guys something to think about, something to go research. And if you guys have any questions, want me to cover, certain topics in more depth, shoot us a message, let me know.